What would you do when a friend is giving you this silent treatment because you wouldn't drop them off for their appointment for surgery? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, husband, 31-year-old male, got reprimanded at work for making a coworker, 23-year-old female, uncomfortable, and somehow this has set him off the deep end. We met in college, got married in our mid-20s, and we're raising 2 children. He's hardworking, loving, and has a healthy and large circle of friends and family who think the world of him, so I cannot overemphasize how caught off guard I am by the last few months. One of my close friends has a friend who works in the same company and reached out to me, basically recapped an incident in November. Maya is a 23-year-old customer rep that's been working for a few months in their company, and in November went to HR to file a complaint over my husband ogling at her and making her feel uncomfortable. He called her Pocahontas in the break room. Another coworker, an older, more established person in the company, vouched for the disrespectful way my husband spoke and acted towards her, and how she had to tell my husband off. He got reprimanded and written up. When I asked him, he didn't deny what happened and instantly assured me his job wasn't in any real danger and how I know the boss loves him and they go way back. I told him it wasn't about that and it's about what possessed him to harass a girl, and he excused it by saying his eyes wandered and he didn't mean to offend her when he nicknamed her. I called BS on that and told him he didn't even sound sorry. He told me he was, but that he learned from it and it wouldn't happen again. My friend later told me Maya was freaked out over a very expensive anonymous set of gifts that was sent to her apartment, and how there was no proof, but that Maya knew it came from my husband, and that during work, my husband didn't cross any lines, but that the poor girl still felt icked out whenever she had to share a room with him. My friend told me I only had her word to go on, but that she herself caught glimpses of my husband checking out Maya during lunch or meetings, and only Maya got those types of stares from him. I hated having to do this, but I checked my husband's bank accounts and his cell phone to maybe find a purchase order. Nothing out of the order except for a major transfer to one of his friends, almost $8,000. I confronted him and he said that his friend just needed some help and how I know said friend is in a tight bind and how he has kids and Christmas was coming up. I couldn't argue and had to swallow my worries and bad feelings because he kept reassuring me how everything was fine at work. In January, Maya reported him to HR again. And this time he told me the same day, likely because he knew I'd find out otherwise, and he was acting like a victim, saying Maya would act like his friend one moment and then get him in trouble the next. I told him to stop lying, to stop making excuses, and to stop insulting my intelligence. I screamed at him to get out of the house and stay gone. Then it's like his brain broke, or I don't know, the real him came out maybe. He went on this demented rant about how I don't have to worry, that I'm his wife, the mother of his children, how everything is airtight and what's his is mine, and how his attraction to Maya was just animalistic and how someone like her would never threaten my place. I was stupefied as I heard my husband go off on this sick tangent, including referring to this poor girl using slurs. I kicked him out and couldn't even stand to look at him for 2 weeks. A day after, he tried taking it back saying he was stressed and felt like everybody was attacking him. But I couldn't stand to speak with him, much less look at him. He promised to work on himself and us and said we should go to a couples therapy when I'm ready, and in the meantime he'll give me my distance. I told him he needs to see a therapist by himself, and he didn't argue back at all. He even confessed that he did send Maya that anonymous expensive gift and had his friend put in the order. It's been 3 weeks. He's gone on 2 sessions with a therapist and we're scheduled for our first session of couples therapy at the end of February. Thus far, he's shown he's willing to put in the work to get better, but how do you get better from that? Is there even a point to couples therapy? I feel so lost. I don't recognize the person I married, but I also don't want to break up our family if there's a chance he can get reformed. So personally, I feel like the issue here is this a couples therapy thing? This sounds more like a personal therapy thing that he needs to work through first. This isn't like a relationship issue. And ultimately, did he admit to that $8,000 transfer actually being all for Maya? I mean, how much of couples therapy can really fix that? Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy tricky relationship topics, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is found husbands, 50 years old, condoms, he denies. We're a husband, 50, wife, 36. Wife, found 2 3-packs of condoms this weekend in his bag. He travels a lot and we were just reunited after 2 weeks of being apart. Also found them with 2 prepaid $200 cards. Doesn't look good. His first response was, "Those have been there forever." I know they haven't. I've looked in the bag within the last month, and we've been married 14 years. Haven't used them for at least 12. Forgot to look at the expiry, unfortunately. He also responded with, "I'll take a lie detector test." To me, a huge red flag, like who says that? We're apart a lot because of his job and he travels quite a bit. Part of me wants to believe there's an explanation, like easier cleanup if he's using a toy, but I can't get past the prepaid cards and knowing that he's taken care of himself at home before without using them. Just having a major what moment here. Don't know how to proceed. I've had moments in the past where I felt like he wasn't being truthful, but he made me believe he was faithful. In my opinion, I do think he has an adult entertainment problem, and I know he needs a lot more sex than I do. What in the heck do I do to try and get more information out of him? He just made me feel like I was crazy. I mean, I think you just need to be upfront with him and say, "Listen, I know they weren't always there. Don't try and insult me and act like they were. Just be honest with me. Tell me the truth. Maybe we can move forward with things." But if there's no answer or just a whole bunch of BS, there's no way you can move forward. Our next story is telling friend female 30 that I, female 30, can't pick her up and send her back all the time. My friend and I attend a pottery workshop every weekend. I drive and she doesn't. Anxiety issues. She would like me to pick her up and send her back every time. The drive to her place is a 15-minute detour, and picking her up and sending her back would add around 29 kilometers to my drive. She's quite a nice person and offers me gas money, but the drive and time I have to allocate tires me out, not to mention the planning of my day around the commute. Weekends are when I spend my me time, and sometimes I'd like to go somewhere else after the workshop, to which she'd offer to tag along and I could send her back after. I like the option of getting to drop by the workshop whenever I can, which I can't if I'm having to detour or set a pickup time. She's not too familiar with public transport or car ride services, and is of the opinion that they're too expensive. Fair enough, the fares can get a bit high. There's a train station near me. I'm thinking of asking her to take a train so I can just pick her up from there. But that would mean her spending more money or getting her aging dad to send her to the station. Am I being too insensitive over this? Since my reasons are not really urgent and she is a good longtime friend, I don't blame OP in this situation. I get being helpful, especially if they're a good longtime friend, but at some point it just becomes quite a burden for somebody that you're not really supposed to be responsible for. And especially if you're in a situation where after a while you might want to go do something else after the workshop on your own, and you can't because you have to drop your friend off every single time, I could see why you would become kind of resentful. I do think she has to figure something out for herself one way or the other. It's one thing to do a favor for a friend, but when you start to resent it and you start to hate doing it, it's no longer doing a favor, it's an obligation or a chore. Our next story is, I, male 25, saw my sister, female 24, cheat on her boyfriend and now I'm stuck. So, full disclosure, I made this Reddit account a week ago and I've been typing this and deleting it every day out of anxiety. My stepsister, female 24, and her boyfriend, male 27, have been together for about 2.5 months. I've only met the guy twice. He's pretty introverted, so I haven't been able to get a great feel for him, but he's a nice guy, has a good job, and treats my sister very well, which makes this freaking mess even worse. 2 weekends ago, me, my sister, and her best friend, who I'm close to as well, went to a show about an hour and a half away. We had pit tickets, so when we got there, we got drinks and stood for a few minutes trying to get a feel for the crowd. As the opening band began to play, a group of guys filled in behind us. There were 4 of them, all tall, pretty handsome. One of the guys complimented her best friend's tattoo, and we started talking and kinda merged groups. There was one who kinda dialed into my sister and they started talking. As they were talking, she had pretty flirty body language, laughing, smiling, touching his arm. She's a very outgoing person, and this isn't totally out of the norm for her, so I kinda looked the other way. However, as the night went on, they kept talking as we were listening to music. They got closer until he was standing behind her with his hands on her hips and her hands on his like couples do at shows. The group was pretty drunk at this point, so it felt like I was the only one noticing. I make eye contact with her and tilted my head as to ask what she was doing. She smiled and separated herself from him. Whatever. A momentary lapse of judgment. I was willing to call it over. However, an hour later, I was in line for the bathroom and I saw them in an area towards the back with her hands wrapped around his neck and his on her hips, talking and laughing in this embrace. Not proud to say I froze, then elected to stay in line and use the bathroom. When I got to the back of the group, they were gone. They returned about an hour later. What happened in that hour, I have no idea, but I just feel like it was nothing good. The drive home was quiet as the girls had drank a lot. I dropped them off and haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. So obviously I need to tell him. Like I said before, don't know him well, but he seems like a good dude. Here's the thing though, I don't have any contact information for him. The only thing I know is where he works and his hours. I don't really want to show up at Buddy's work with life-changing news. So, like I said, just feeling very stuck. My sister is a genuinely good person and I love having her in my life, but I can't just pretend this didn't happen. I think, especially considering their relationship with their boyfriend is only a 2-month thing, OP probably should confront their sister first about this and tell them that it's weighing heavy on your conscience and that they need to own up to it. If you're afraid of blowing up a relationship with your sister here, don't go relationship Batman for the guy that she's been with for 2 months. Instead, talk to the person who you're more worried about retaining that relationship with. Our next story is, boyfriend got rid of some of my clothes. How do I talk to him about this in a productive way? Boyfriend, 28-year-old male, and I, 22-year-old female, have been together for almost 2 years. We recently moved in together, so we've been trying to adjust to that. I recently went with my family for a week to see another side of my family. Boyfriend didn't want to go, but was very much invited. He didn't want me to go because he thought I was being irresponsible. I disagreed because I told work in plenty of time and could afford it. I got back last weekend, and when I got home, he rearranged almost everything. I was sort of upset because I think he should have talked to me first. I didn't think it was worth making a big deal about it, so I didn't say anything. I noticed my closet had a lot less in it, but thought he put some of them in the guest room, where I already had some of my stuff. I realized yesterday I was missing a lot of my stuff and couldn't find things. I asked him about it and he told me he went through everything in the house and got rid of some of my stuff because it was taking up space and don't wear them. I did wear a bunch of those things, and I know he hasn't kept track of what I do and don't wear in his head. He bought me a necklace when I got home, so I haven't talked to him about this yet because I would feel like a jerk. I want to sit him down this weekend and go over it without getting into an argument. I don't want to be walked all over, but also don't want to make this a huge deal. Should I bring this up? I already told him not to do that in the future. I mean, I feel like OP already is kind of being walked all over. It's the lack of a backbone here in the situation and pressing him on this stuff that's the issue. He went and threw away a lot of your stuff that you do wear, and OP's obviously upset about it, but they can't communicate that to their partner for fear of getting into an argument. He already showed some kind of controlling behavior trying to prevent you from seeing your family when it made a lot of sense for you to be able to go. Now you're afraid of confronting him when he threw out your stuff? This next story is my 21-year-old female, gay boyfriend, 23-year-old male, of 1 year says he's straight for me, but I don't believe him. My boyfriend, 23-year-old male, and I, 21-year-old female, have always been friends, and I knew that he was gay since the start of our friendship. About a year ago, my boyfriend told me that he likes me before we started dating. I was confused because he's made it very clear that he's a gay man, but when he was confessing his feelings, he told me that I'm the only woman he's ever been attracted to. I liked him too, yes, knowing he's gay, and we started dating. He's a great partner that has treated me well over the past year, but one thought I can't seem to shake is that I feel like one day he's going to realize that he isn't attracted to me and that he will end up leaving me. While I know it's been a year and he's shown no signs of it, it is something I can't seem to shake. Yes, I've talked to him about it before, and honestly, he just gets upset when I bring it up, which just makes my anxiety with it worse. To me, it feels like he's using me as a way to portray a straight persona to his family, as his mom is extremely homophobic, or he's attracted to me now but will change his mind in the future. I really do love him, but I don't know how to get rid of this feeling, or really even talk to him about it because he just gets upset when I bring it up. How should I get rid of these feelings or bring it up to him again? Update: Thank you all for all of the comments and support. It was really helpful to hear about all of the different perspectives. I took the advice for a majority of people and decided to have a sit-down discussion with him about everything. The comments he makes, our sex life, his mom, the way he gets upset when I bring anything up, etc. And I think it went okay. He listened to everything I had to say and apologized for how he's acted. He also gave an honest explanation for why he continues to say that he's gay, which some were right, he just doesn't care to put a label on himself that he knows doesn't matter, but that he'll no longer bring it up with people unless it's asked about. He also said that it was hard for him to come to terms with liking a woman, so that's one of the reasons he's reacted in the ways he has. As for sex, he thinks that it's just because he's new to it in general. I'm his third sexual partner and the first woman partner with that. He says that he's never really thought he'd end up needing to know how to pleasure a woman correctly, but that if I help him with it, he is willing to learn. There was another thing he mentioned as well, but it is extremely personal and I'm not going to share that information. He did, however, say that I need to learn to cope with the anxiety about him leaving me and that he's willing to help with that as well, but if I'm unable to, he doesn't see how the relationship can continue. I 100% get and respect that, and I will work on it. Thank you all once again. I mean, it sounds to me like he's just kind of struggling with his own kind of identity, especially as evidenced by what he says. At least, I certainly hope that's the case, and it's not like an ongoing thing where he's just trying to use OP as their beard. I guess if I were in OP's shoes, I'd be watching for a hawk for any reason why he would want to have that kind of portrayal around the people in his life. Otherwise, yeah, I think it's maybe just a personal struggle they're going through. Somebody that was so confident and dead set in, this is who I am, and suddenly somebody does come along who's so awesome, who's so amazing, you begin to question your whole identity. You could see where it would be conflicting, right? Our next story is, my wife, 45-year-old female, and I, 46-year-old male, could not be in the same city on Valentine's Day, so she had dinner with a coworker, and I need a reality check to see if I'm overreacting. Background info, we've been married 18 years and have kids, but we don't seem to want the same things out of marriage. I believe she likes me and is fully committed, but being in a romantic relationship is just not a big part of her identity, whereas my relationship with my wife and kids are the most important part of me. We've never had many dates together, partly because she travels frequently and often goes out to eat as part of her job, so it's not a special thing for her. However, last night was not a work dinner. It was social, with the coworker whom she seems the most chummy with. I don't know anything about the guy's intentions, but they both are attractive and have appealing personalities. He was also traveling, so he too was away from his family. She called while I was making dinner for our kids, so I just asked what her plans were, and she told me. I wouldn't have thought much of this if this was a different day, but isn't it weird to have dinner with another guy on Valentine's Day? Doesn't it have a certain appearance? I didn't know how to react, so I changed the subject. But when she was saying goodbye, I said, "Enjoy your date," maybe to let her know that I was a little hurt and needed to process. She sounded deflated, not expecting me to be upset, and said, "You want me to eat by myself?" Like she was already resigned to canceling with the guy. I trust her, and I have no interest in trying to control anyone, so I told her to just go, and I assume she did. She called about an hour later, but I didn't answer because I still felt hurt. I know she didn't mean anything by going out, but I didn't feel like I could pretend it didn't bother me, and if I did tell her it bothered me, I would feel like I was making too much out of it. Am I blowing it out of proportion? How would you react? She has never taken Valentine's Day that seriously. Maybe just getting me a card or nothing at all, but I always try to do stuff to make it a little special. I don't think anything's going on with them. I'm 98% certain my wife would not cheat on me. That's not what this post is about. It's about me checking to see if I'm being irrational here. Would you think anything of it if your spouse did this? I would have at least expected her to have mentioned going out with someone on Valentine's without me having to ask, but I think their plans were so casual that it didn't register with her I could be bothered by it. I mean, I think this is more of the greater relationship issues kind of manifesting themselves here. If OP is absolutely sure nothing nefarious was going on here, I think it's just OP's lashing out a bit, you know? They just want more out of their marriage and their relationship. They want date nights. They want to feel a little special. They want to feel celebrated and acknowledged and stuff. And I can't blame them. I would want the same things. I think OP's just kind of feeling a little unloved in the moment. Our next story is my 26-year-old female, fiance 29-year-old male, canceled wedding 1 week before the ceremony. What do I do next? My fiance canceled our wedding 1 week before the ceremony. He said he'd been having a buildup of a nervous feeling over the past 3 months, and he finally decided he can't go through with it. He said he feels like getting married would mean that he is trapped for the rest of his life. He decided he wanted a short break, so I went to stay with my parents. 4 days later, he texted asking me if I could come home and that he misses me and loves me. He has arranged to see a psychologist/counselor. Chiefly, he wants to figure out 1, why this happened, 2, does he not want to marry at all or just not want to marry me, 3, does he still want to have kids at all or is it just that he doesn't want to have kids with me? Thought it might be worth mentioning that he's always told me he wanted a family previously, and this is all coming as a surprise for me. For context, we've been dating for the past 3.5 years. How should I be feeling about this? What should I do next? Should I continue living with him while he figures this out? Should I go on a long holiday somewhere else while he figures this out? Should I just leave him for good once and for all? Honestly, it's probably for the best for OP to go on the holiday and let him just try to figure this stuff out. OP got blindsided by this, and it sounds like it's really him trying to find whatever he wants. I say rather than let yourself get dragged down any further, try to just refresh and take your mind off of it and hopefully come back to him actually having an answer. This next story is, my boyfriend, male 23, missed Valentine's Day with me, female 21. Should I break up with him? My boyfriend has had a history of missing or canceling events or holidays on me for his friends or because of his dog. We've been seeing each other since July. He canceled on me for this past Christmas because he claimed his family wasn't celebrating it and he and his friends were going to do a celebration that day. I was not invited, missing Christmas with my family, and I had to give him the gifts my family got him the next week. Then came my 21st birthday. He loves going to the bar and was super excited for me to be 21. He booked a trip to go see his family and scheduled his vacation time the week of my birthday and missed it. He left the day before my birthday and came back 4 days later. He told me it was the only time his family could see him. Then that weekend, my friends and I went to a bar to celebrate since he couldn't be here on my actual birthday. He didn't get there till about 9:45 p.m. because some of his friends came home from college for the weekend, and he just had to go to the bonfire at their house. I offered for him to bring them with us so I could meet them and we could all hang out, but he declined. All of my friends have been telling me to break up with him since he always cancels on me. Then yesterday we had dinner reservations around 8 p.m. for Valentine's Day. And he called me at 5 p.m. to imply that he wanted to cancel because he had a stressful day at work and felt bad that he had to leave his dog in the cage while we were out, even though the dog hasn't been in the cage all day because his mother worked from home. I'm a full-time college student in my senior semester with an internship I go to twice a week and work a part-time job. There are times when I'm stressed or my friends want to do things, but I don't cancel our plans because I value the time we have together. Everyone in my life is telling me to break up with him, but I don't know if I should. Honestly, it just sounds like OP's the girlfriend when it's convenient. Like they're just popping by and being there like when they can or when they want to. It doesn't really sound like OP's a priority in the guy's life. Our next story is, my 27-year-old female, grandma 65-year-old female, feels entitled to my inheritance money? My mom passed away a year and 4 months ago. I was listed as the sole beneficiary for her 401k and life insurance, so I received everything. Plus, before she passed, she had terminal cancer. She directly told me that she wanted me to have everything and even talked to me about taking money out of her 401k early before passing to ensure that I would receive it. After my mom's death, my grandma has acted entitled to my money on several different occasions and has expressed, along with my mom's partner, that they think the money should have been distributed amongst the family equally. I'm my mother's only child, and my father passed years before her, so even if she didn't explicitly express her wish for me to receive the inheritance verbally, I would think that I'm meant to receive all of the inheritance, just by the natural order of things. My grandma texted me on Valentine's Day without wishing a happy Valentine's Day or even a simple hello first, telling me that I forgot to cash a $700 healthcare refund check my mom received after her death, and said that she sure could have used the money for her federal taxes if she knew I was going to lose the money. Dealing with probate after my mom's death was very stressful alongside the grief, and it was never my intention to forget to cash a check, obviously. And I guess I understand her mentality that the money is useful and should be utilized, but it really bugs me the way that she came at me and the fact that she feels entitled enough to say that she could have used it for her taxes when the money isn't hers whatsoever. That call isn't even hers. I'm the PR of my mom's estate. And why would this money be used to pay her federal taxes? I don't really know how to respond to her. How would you navigate this situation, or how would you reply? I mean, thank her for bringing that to your attention, that the check slipped your mind. I really don't know the best way to reply to them, but the bottom line is, that's your money that you're entitled to. And really, no matter what type of way they're feeling about it, it doesn't matter. I mean, maybe kill them with kindness or even kind of silence. Just thank them for bringing it to your attention and maybe ignore everything else. Our next story is my female 25, friend female 29, is giving me this silent treatment because I wouldn't drop her off to a doctor's appointment for surgery. Before I begin, here's a bit of context. M is really beautiful, like 10 out of 10 gorgeous. She dated guys with money who buy her nice gifts, and her recent ex T bought her a lot of gifts and helped her out a bunch when she had a hard time in effort to win her back. T was very manipulative and emotionally abusive, so she didn't get back with him. A few months ago, M had a situation with her Audi car that it cost a few grand to fix, and it wasn't worth it to her, so she sold her car and saved to get herself a newer car. During that time, M had recently broke up with her ex, T, in January last year. Even though they were broken up, he was still trying to get her back by driving her places, since she didn't have a car so she could get groceries, run errands, etc. After a few months of this, M stopped contact with T since she was 100% done with him, so she didn't have anyone to give her rides. She asked me to grab her when I would go do my Costco runs, which I do 1 to 2 times a month, and I agreed. Her place is about 25 minutes from me, but I wanted to help her out and I was going there anyway, so it wasn't a problem for me. There were also times when she wanted to go to the mall or go out to eat, so I would pick her up, go to the place, and drop her off before getting home 25 minutes later myself. I truly did not mind this because she's one of my closest friends and I wanted to spend time with her and help her out as well. I never asked for gas money, and M had paid for my meals a couple of times as a thank you, which I appreciated. M finally got a car last month and all is good. We still talk and hang out. M had a surgery on Tuesday where she would be on anesthesia, so she called me last week if I can drive her since the clinic was near my place. I asked her what time, and she said it was at 7:15 a.m. I was driving at the time and said, "Oh, let me look at my schedule and I'll let you know in a few." M texted me then asking if I could just drop her off at home and she could find a ride there. I was still driving, so I didn't respond right away, and then a few minutes later, she messaged me saying that it's okay, she'll figure it out. I told her sorry I was driving, but that I can drop her off after her appointment, no problem. I explained if I picked her up before her appointment, I would have to get up at 5:30 to get ready and leave my place by 6, so I can get her, and that it's too early for me. But I have no problem getting her after her appointment. She replied, "I just don't want to be a burden," and I reassured her that I'm fine with getting her after. She didn't reply to that, but I thought nothing of it. I tried to do small talk with her a couple of days later, but she only responded with a thumbs up, so I didn't say anything until Monday. I asked if she needed me to pick her up, and she said no, that she has it covered. On Tuesday, I texted her wishing that the surgery went well and to let me know if she needs help with anything. Got left unread with no reply since. I'm thinking about sending her a text later asking if I upset her, but I'm honestly flabbergasted that she's giving me this silent treatment over this. I still offered to get her, just not both times. It would still be an hour out of my day to help her out, and this was after all the other times I've driven her the previous few months. How should I bring this up to her? Honestly, I feel like if OP's already tried to reach out a few times, tried to make small talk about it, I would just probably leave her to herself and hope that at some point they get over it and reach back out. And shoot, if they still need help day to day, they probably will be reaching out sooner or later. If anything though, this would make me extremely hesitant to consider doing so again in the future. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely tricky relationship topic, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.